Welcome to the Sunday evening guided meditation at Cittaviveka Buddhist Monastery. We will begin by chanting the first part of the evening chanting in English, which is found on page 19, after I light the candles and incense. Yeah, it looks like it's a no-go on the candles and incense. To the Blessed One, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment, to the teaching which he expounded so well, and to the Blessed One's disciples who had practiced well, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we render with offerings our rightful homage. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, still had compassion for later generations. May these simple offerings be accepted for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and Blessed One, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples, who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha. Now let us pay preliminary homage to the Buddha. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Settling into the meditation posture, it's useful to begin by paying attention to the experience of the feet or the buttocks on the floor or cushion. Let that be a firm foundation. And then bringing attention to the upright axis of the spine, rising out of this firm foundation. We can allow the spine to extend to its natural upright length. And it can be helpful to imagine that a fine string lifting up the crown of the head. And after establishing this axis, we can allow the rest of the body to relax around that central pillar. And we can take a minute or two just to notice where there is tension in the body and invite that tension to relax. And in this experience of the relaxed body, or at least as relaxed as it wants to be right now, we can discern the sensations of in and out breathing. And we can investigate the question, how do we know that we're breathing in? How do we know that we're breathing out? Breathing in, experience a cool sensation at the nostrils, the flow of the breath across the palate and down the throat. The expansion of the chest, the belly swelling and sinking. And then with the exhale, these experiences reverse. The belly contracts, the chest sinks, the flow of air up the trachea, across the palate, and warm air through the nose. And when working with the breath, it can be helpful to find where we experience this most comfortably and allow attention to settle there. But this is also, at least the way that I practice, it's not an exclusively samatha practice. We're not trying to condense attention down to that single point where we experience the breath to the exclusion of everything else, so that that becomes the entire world. But we can be aware of that place within its context of body and mind. So we can practice like this for 5 minutes or so. If the mind has wandered, gently bring it back to the experience of in and out breathing. And in addition to the physical sensations associated with in and out breathing, there's also the energetic experience. The entire body energizes, uplifts, brightens when we're breathing in, and settles, soothes, sinks when we breathe out. And apparently I was unaware until recently that this phenomena has been studied scientifically. When you breathe in, your heart rate increases. When you breathe out, it decreases. And the more increasing and decreasing more, the heart rate going faster and slower as with the breath, greater changes in that heart rate variability are associated with all sorts of different kinds of well-being, is my understanding. And so, as is common with this mind-body system, what we pay attention to becomes more prominent. So it's likely that by focusing on this, we might well increase that heart rate variability. And again, well-being across a number of different domains. I'm no expert in the science, but I certainly find it a useful meditation technique. So, breathing in, noticing the energizing effect. Breathing out, noticing the settling effect. And if we're feeling tired or drowsy, dull, it can be helpful to pay more attention to the in-breath. If the mind is restless or the body agitated or in pain, more attention to the out-breath. And so we can practice like this for the next 5 minutes. If the mind has wandered, gently bringing it back to the experience of in and out breathing. And we can notice that while the physical sensations of breathing are limited to those areas which move or are somehow physically connected with the breath, the energetic sensations we experience throughout the entire body. Various ancient systems of medicine have called this prana. That's actually the Pali word. It's anapanasati. So ana is in, pana, out, in breath, out breath, mindfulness. That's what we're doing. But yeah, the yogic word for pranayama is right in there. It's a slightly different practice, but the concepts are the same. If you prefer modern terminology, you can talk about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system if you like, but those are more syllables than I find useful. But the effect is definitely here. Something to be experienced here and now. And by paying attention in this way, we're learning what and how and what it feels like to energize the body and mind system, and what it feels like to settle the body and mind system. And so many of our difficulties in meditation and everyday life are that it would be, in some situations, it's skillful to have more energy, but we don't know how to do that. And in others, it would be useful to settle down, but we somehow can't do that either. So this simple training has substantial benefits. In addition to just feeling pretty good. This is a very, very often very pleasant way to inhabit the body. And that allows us to set down the thoughts about the past and future. The way to approach this practice is through the four qualities of in the description of right effort. Ardent, alert, mindful, putting away covetousness and grief with regard to the world. So in brief, just, being, putting effort in. This is a practice that requires some effort, and we're aiming to be on the ball, know what this breath feels like in a direct and non-conceptual way, rather than just getting stuck in what the last breath felt like, or having an idea about what it should feel like. What is this experience right now like? And all four of those, although they're four different qualities, they're mutually reinforcing, and you don't need to develop one and then the other. It all comes together right here. So we can practice like this for another 8 minutes or so. Mind has wandered, gently bring it back. And when working with distracting thoughts, and they will arise, and that's part of the practice, the simplest approach is what we've been doing. Just once you notice them, bring the mind right back to the experience of in and out breathing. But once the mind becomes settled enough, one can start to reflect on those very distractions in terms of uncertainty, impermanence, anicca. And my experience is that rather than thinking about anicca in the abstract, it's very useful to, well, you apply it right now. And anicca, a very good question or a way to investigate anicca is not to apply it in an abstract way, but very concrete reflections. One that I find very helpful in this situation is whatever thought about the past and the future, or the future has arisen, to ask, investigate, which is more certain? The experience of breathing in and out, or the content, what this thought is trying to tell me? You might think, you might be thinking about what you want to say, what you want to cook, if you're on the support team tomorrow. You think, well, maybe I'll cook beans, but then you recognize, bring it back. Oh, well, maybe the larder manager will tell me something other than beans. You just don't, it's definitely less certain. And there can be, that's a relatively trivial example. But yeah, the problem with thoughts about the past and the future is that they're not reliable. The past is rarely exactly how we remember it, and the future is rarely how we imagine it's going to be. And one can investigate a bit further. Well, give it, okay, right. I really, and just get a sense of how solidly you actually know, I'm breathing in right now, I'm breathing out right now. That's not subject to a whole lot of doubt. And I mean, if you get, yes, you can definitely get so distracted in thought that you don't know whether you're breathing in or out. I do that all the time. But meditating, pretty easy to come back to. Yep, breathing in, breathing out. Those thoughts, dubious. And my own sense is that's really, it's not, I shouldn't be thinking those things. It's, I don't trust that, which is a much deeper sense of, that's insight. That's much more powerful. Because we're not working with the what we should or shouldn't be. We're working with don't trust, which is a pretty strong, we know there's lots of things, you don't trust it, and naturally the mind will shrink away from it. And we can even investigate further. If it's not trustworthy, why do we bring it up? Why does it come up? And right there, at least what I find is that's where craving is. I want that, in the future, and therefore I'll think about it. Or I want to imagine my meditation is going this way, so that's why this particular thought comes up. And you can feel that craving, and you know that, and you don't trust the object. The object is untrustworthy. The craving is unpleasant. And what arises is, why do I do this? And the breath is really solid. Well, do that instead. And so, this is, again, in my experience, this is how the mind becomes really firm. Not so much through repeating the same thing again and again, or coming up with the perfect meditation method, but by recognizing what's really solid. The present moment is solid. Again, stuff outside, my concepts about things, dubious. And the mind stays where it's safe. So we can practice like this for another 8 minutes. We can close the evening with the suffusion with the divine abidings in English, which page 43. I will abide, pervading 1/4, with a heart imbued with loving kindness. Likewise the 2nd, likewise the 3rd, likewise the 4th. So above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world, with a heart imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. I will abide, pervading 1/4, with a heart imbued with compassion. Likewise the 2nd, likewise the 3rd, likewise the 4th. So above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading 1/4, with a heart imbued with compassion, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. I will abide, pervading 1/4, with a heart imbued with gladness. Likewise the 2nd, likewise the 3rd, likewise the 4th. So above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world, with a heart imbued with gladness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. I will abide, pervading 1/4, with a heart imbued with equanimity. Likewise the 2nd, likewise the 3rd, likewise the 4th. So above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to myself, I will abide, pervading the all-encompassing world, with a heart imbued with equanimity, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Closing homage in English, page 29. The Lord, the
enlightened and blessed one. I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. The teaching, so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples, who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha.